What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Jay Rich back for another MLB prop video. Yesterday I talked about 4 props. One was a DMP with Nelson Cruz. Giancarlo Stanton went over his prop, and then we had Colton Wong and Rowdy Tellez let me down. Ian Anderson pitched a fantastic game yesterday for Atlanta. 1-0. Freddie Peralta on the other side for the Brewers pitched really well. So unfortunately, 1 for 3 yesterday, but I was looking again, tweaking things a little bit, and wanted to show you guys what I'm looking at today. So let's dive into the MLB props for May the 17th. It's focused mostly on the night slate because there are some day games, some doubleheaders. I want to focus on the teams that are just playing one game, one matchup. Keep it super simple. All the games start from 6 to 10. So let's dive into those props right now. So I'm going to start actually looking at the last 14 games for these players. Actually, you know what? We'll go back to the projections overall first. So these are the 7 players or so I'm looking at. I want to explain to you why I like or dislike each one of them and why they popped in the model. So first, again, Colton Wong. The biggest thing for him right now is he's on a really hot streak. He's playing very, very well. But the issue is that right now he's projected to bat 9th in the lineup. That's not good for his overall ceiling, so we're not going to be taking Colton Wong despite his projection. I'm going to be staying away from that number. It does have a massive edge. PrizePicks has his line at only 6.0, but I'm going to be staying away simply because he's not batting as high in the lineup. If he was batting higher and batting first in the lineup, I would consider it, but for right now, I'm going to be staying away from Colton Wong overall because I don't want to risk having the 9th hitter on an offense. Then you look at Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper is literally the hottest hitter in all of baseball right now from a PrizePicks perspective. When you pull up the last 14 game stats, Bryce Harper is literally the #1 player with 15.64 fantasy points per game on PrizePicks. So for me, it's very difficult for me to stay away from Bryce Harper. As you can see, 18 hits, 12 extra base hits. He has 11 runs, 12 RBIs. He's got 5 home runs all in the last 14 days, and he does have 3 steals to even go on top of that 400 average. His isolated power is 328. He's just on a complete tear right now. 171 WRC plus. These are all numbers that you just love to see. But the biggest thing, like I mentioned to you guys yesterday, was what is his prop ultimately going to be? It's at 7.5 right now. I have him projected for about 14.5. He's against Mike Clevinger, who, former of the Cleveland Indians, but now he's back. He's playing for San Diego, came off his UCL surgery. So again, for me, I think this is a matchup that Bryce can really exploit. He's, like I mentioned, one of the hottest hitters. I love the matchup against Clevinger. Clevinger's a great pitcher. He's not going deep into games. He's not pitching overly well. He's allowing a decent amount of fantasy points. Even though it's a bit of a ballpark decrease for the production overall, I still think this is another great spot for a pitcher to really thrive. San Diego's got a great offense. Philly's got a great offense, and they're playing very well right now. Bryce Harper is the catalyst there. Batting third, there's run chances, there's RBI chances. Bryce Harper, to me, is a great play today. Now let's dive into number 2 in Brandon Drury. Brandon Drury is actually a player that I've been playing a lot on PrizePicks lately. I've been telling people his totals are just always so low. You can see them at 5.5 right now. He's coming down based off how he was playing before. Like I mentioned, Cincinnati's had some pretty easy matchups overall. But again, his total is only 5.5. So we're talking about a hit and a run basically puts you there. Then you need a walk. It's not difficult to supplement that type of production. If heaven forbid he gets an RBI double, he's over. That's what happened with Stanton yesterday. He went over with an RBI double and a walk. Boom, done. You want these guys as much as you can to go after guys who only need, one at-bat or so to hit this over. So again, Brandon Drury for me is in a great spot. Like you see, he's got a 90% edge, projected at over 10. He's been getting over 10 in his last 14 and going over to his stats. You can clearly see Brandon Drury right here playing pretty well, 13 hits, 4 doubles, which is good. You see a couple home runs, extra base hits are good. He's scoring runs, and more importantly, he's getting RBIs. 14 RBIs out of the 2-hole is a lot. He's striking out a lot, though. That's really the only fear is, does he strike out too much? He's not walking hardly at all. 6 walks, 17 strikeouts. That's why he's not necessarily the best play on the slate, but he has a nice edge, and more importantly, he has a very low total to hit as a ceiling. Now, the next player is Jose Altuve, batting first for the Houston Astros. So again, lots of at-bat potential. The issue for me with Altuve is as hot as he's been, I don't know if I trust him against Eovaldi. Eovaldi is a great pitcher, but as you can see, he is allowing a lot of fantasy points right now. His multiplier is very high. Altuve only has to hit 7, which isn't crazy. That's basically an RBI double. That's a double and a run scored. We know that Altuve can steal while he doesn't as much recently, but you can see his stats are starting to creep up. He started off really slow. He's got only 1 double, but he's got 6 home runs in his last 12 games. So again, for me, it's not a home run or bust play because Altuve can do it in different ways. He's scoring over a run per game, which is great. He's not stealing any bases. He's not striking out a ton. He's not walking a lot either. So he's making a lot of contact, putting the ball in play. But overall, Jose Altuve in this matchup against Boston should be a fine play. And so I do like that one quite a bit. And I'd be willing to put Jose Altuve in some lineups. Now, the next guy is Ronald Acuna Jr. coming back off of injury. So we know that he's kind of in some ways expected to start slow, but he's actually been playing very, very well. You see his last 14 average, almost 14 points per game. He's playing against a decent pitcher in Adam Hauser, but again, we'll see what happens with Acuna. He's not projected to be in the lineup right now based off what we're seeing, but if for some reason he is in the lineup, I would be considering to put some plays in with him at 7.5. It's just a low number for Acuna, who can do much better than that, and so that's one of the reasons why I really like it. So again, right now, I'm loving Harper. I do like Acuna quite a bit. I'd be willing to put some on Drury. I'd be willing to go with Altuve. And these are kind of the guys that I'm targeting right now. Wong, I mentioned staying away from him. Then there's Mike Moustakas, who's going to most likely bat 5th or 4th in the Cincinnati Reds lineup. Again, against Zach Plesac, who is not a very good pitcher at not allowing fantasy points right now. And just like Brandon Drury, he has a total of only 5.5 for a nice 79% edge. So again, if you want to go after Mike Moustakas, I think there's opportunity here. Maybe you don't want to go with the Drury and Moustakas stack. We saw how that kind of burned us yesterday with Milwaukee, but again, it isn't a good matchup, and I do believe there is a lot of fantasy point potential in this game, and Mike Moustakas could be a big contributor, although I think he's sort of cooling off a little bit. You can see he's not very high on the charts right now. He's not doing overly well. He's hitting a decent amount of doubles, though, which is good. You get 5 points for a double on PrizePicks, and he's got 5 in his last 12 games. He's got 3 home runs in his last 12 games, so again, 8 extra base hits, which is going to get you to that total very quickly. Not a ton of RBIs, not a ton of walks, and a couple of runs to boot. So he's not the best play on the slate, but he is playing very well. As you can see, the top 3 guys here, Harper, Acuna, Stanton, as far as fantasy production and how they're projected overall. Now let's get to Giancarlo Stanton. Again, like I mentioned yesterday, one of the hottest hitters in baseball right now. He is in another great matchup in Baltimore. 7.5 total this time around, a little bit higher than I'm hoping for, but again, still has a very nice edge. We know he's got tons of home run pop. You know that he's probably good for an RBI almost every single game because he's just playing so well right now. I love Stanton, and I'm going to be playing Stanton again today. I think that he's one of the best values on the slate. You see Aaron Judge is up at 8 on the same projection system, and for some reason, I don't know why they have him that high. In my opinion, Stanton's the better play. He's going to probably score more. He's probably got just as much run potential, and he's good for RBIs with great batters hitting ahead of him. So for me, I'm going to be putting Stanton in probably all of my tickets for today. And so, again, probably one of my favorite plays between Stanton, Acuna, and Harper. Even though they have higher totals, I'm willing to bet on the talent and the production that those guys can give us as middle of the order, top of the order guys. Again, we have to watch lineups, and you're going to want to check these things, but I think that's another great bet is Giancarlo Stanton overall. Then I want to talk about Nathaniel Lowe, or Nate Lowe is what he's called. He goes by both, Nathaniel, Nate. He is honestly on one of the worst stretches any batter could ever have. And like you see here, 1 fantasy point per game in his last 14 days. He's been in and out of the lineup a little bit, but in his last 10 games, he has 2 singles, 1 run scored, and 1 walk. And for some reason, they have him projected right now at 5.5 fantasy points. Why on earth is he projected that high? He's going against Reed Demeters, who just threw a no-hitter last week. So his, obviously, pitch value is very low. The park factor is okay. And then you have a 3.5 point edge, 64.5% to the under. Again, if you want to sweat unders, that's great. But honestly, Nate Lowe would have to get a hit and a walk plus, a hit and a run plus, a hit and an RBI plus, a walk, and he'd have to get on base at least twice and cross the plate, which for me is just way too much. Like, he could have a sac fly and a walk, he's still not getting there. And for a guy who's as cold as he is, I think there's a really good shot he goes under again. He's been, like I mentioned, in and out of the lineup, but for whatever reason, PrizePicks keeps throwing his number up there. As you can see, he's batting 7th right now, so he's even fewer plate appearances than he would be if he's obviously batting at the top of the lineup. I mentioned Kolten Wong, how I don't want him if he's batting 9th, but if he's batting 1st, I would consider it because the chances of him getting another at-bat are very, very high. And so for me, Nate Lowe is an underplay. I will probably not be a core play, but I will definitely be looking at throwing him in because I just think, based on the data, there is almost no way in hell 37 at-bats, this guy has 2 hits and has walked 1 time with 12 strikeouts. His batting average is .05, which is just god-awful. His on-base percentage is still under 30%. His OPS is under 60%, under 600. It's just, it's very difficult to bet on Nate Lowe to even get on base at this point. Last night, the Texas Rangers put up 7 runs. He went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts, batting out of the 7-hole. Again, I don't know what to do with Nate Lowe, but I'm probably be taking the under. And so for me, these are the guys I'm looking at right now. As you can see, Kolten Wong, I'm staying away from. Bryce Harper, I love. Brandon Drury, I'd consider him. Altuve, I do like against Boston. Ronald Acuna is just on fire right now. Mike Moustakas is kind of a maybe play. He usually bats above 5th. Giancarlo Stanton, another one that I love. And Nathaniel Lowe, under. So all the top guys in the green over their hitter fantasy scores and an under on Nate Lowe at 5.5. Those are the plays I'm going to be taking today. And as always, if you tail, give them hell. And if we fail, do not bail. We will be back tomorrow talking more MLB props, and I will be diving into the whole slate, new projections, new pitcher matchups, new hitters, different analysis, but hoping to give you as much information as possible to make a sound decision. This isn't the end-all be-all. Don't tail them blindly, but do your research. And if you like some of these plays, definitely there could be some value to be found. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe. If you like the content, drop us a like. Comment down below if there's any plays that you like, and I'll be back tomorrow. I'll see you guys later. Peace.